Okay, this is going to be a really fun project, you guys. Easy, simple, and it's perfect for the procrastinators in our life, like you or me. Anyway, we're doing place cards today, specifically for Thanksgiving, but you can change the colors of these to make them for any holiday that you like or event. And so they're really easy, they're really fast. You could do them on the morning when your turkey's in the oven. Anyway, so excited about this one. It's short and sweet. And just by the way, there's no tracing for this as I usually do in all my videos because you don't need one. But in the description, you're going to find some other freebies, some coloring pages for Thanksgiving, as well as some Thanksgiving bookmarks if you need to keep hands busy while you're, trying to keep it together. Anyway, enjoy the video. Thanks for being here, and I'm ever so grateful that you are. Take care, and let's go paint. Okay, it's always nice to have place cards on your Thanksgiving table or Christmas. You can adapt this for Christmas. But let me show you what I'm doing. Okay, let's just get down to it. I have 2 pieces of paper. These are scrap, obviously. You don't have to use scrap paper if you don't want to, but this is a great way to use up some of those odds and ends of your watercolor paper. So we're just going to ignore that and that for this purpose. Okay, this is Canson XL watercolor paper, very beginner friendly and accessible. So these are 3 inches by 6 inches, and I made a really light pencil line to indicate where the fold line is going to be. And then I also, using my pencil, just about we'll be using this pencil. I marked halfway in this 3-inch, so that's 1.5 inches, and then marking a 1/4 inch on either side because the washi tape we're going to use is a 1/2 inch wide. So here's my washi tape. Now, I really like this Scotch Expressions washi tape. You can buy it at big box stores. I'm sure you can buy it online. But I find that it releases well. Now, if you're going to use washi tape or masking tape on your watercolors, test them first on a scrap piece of paper, because I have found with like regular masking tape, this big hairball, with regular masking tape on less expensive paper, it tends to pull up, and that will make you sad. It works better on better paper, but this washi tape from Scotch works really well. This is not an affiliate. So anyway, I am going to pull off a piece of this washi tape. I'm just going to tear it and place it within those 2 marks. I'm eyeballing it that it's straight. If you want to use more marks, feel free to do that. So I'm just pressing sort of lightly. You don't want to like press it down on it because that may pull up the paper later. Okay, so we have that one. And then we have this one, and I'm just going to do that again because we're going to do 2 versions of this card. And you can do both. I mean, it'd be really pretty on your table to have every other one be different, but here's where we're going to get started. Okay, I'm going to set one aside because I'll come back later. So we don't need the pencil right now. Don't need that marker. We're also going to use this Uniball Signo gold marker. You'll need, obviously, some sort of little ruler to do that ruling that you did, and we'll use it for the lettering as well. And then I have my brand new brush. It's a number 10 round Windsor W-N-Cotman, and I'm thinking I'm in love. I bought this while I was on vacation last week. I love going to art stores. This was at Alabama Art Supply in Birmingham, Alabama, I believe, or Montgomery. I think it's Birmingham. Anyway, Alabama Art Supply is also online, and it was really great. It was a little more than I normally spend on a brush. It was in the $23 range, but I think I kind of love it, and I think it's going to last a while. It has a beautiful point on it. Okay, so this is going to be so easy and so simple. This will be your last minute, oh my gosh, I really want to do handmade place cards, but I didn't start a week ago. Honey, we're going to get these really cute. 2 versions. Okay, first thing I did, I'm using my regular palette. You can use any watercolors that you want. And I just pre-mixed a little bit of this. This is the Hooker's Green Light, but any kind of olivey autumn type green you want to use, go ahead. You can mix it yourself, or you might have something. Don't go out and buy special paints for this project unless you want to. Okay, and then I have a warm red. In this case, it's a Cadmium Red Light. And then I have a Cadmium Yellow Medium because I want a nice golden yellow. And then in my other palette, this is just a burnt sienna. Any brown will do. We're just looking for like 4 autumnal colors. And actually, I like this kind of teal color, but I'm not using that right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to commit to one color first. And that is this. I just sprayed that to get it activated. And I'm going to go in and just give myself a puddle of that paint. Now, of course, we also like to have a scratch paper, extra paper, to just check our color, to make sure it's nice and deep the way you want it. That's really pretty brown. Okay, so what we're going to do, this one is just going to be a really kind of elegant stripe. And we're going to go straight across this watercolor paper. And we're going to make some random stripes with a little white in between, because that's where the gold marker is going to come in. Okay, so, and you can do one of two things. You can leave your, like a white edge at the top and come down and leave another white edge at the bottom. Or go over the fold line so it has a nice clean edge and you can go all the way off the paper. I am going to, here are my glasses. Here they are. I don't know why I always forget my glasses before I start filming. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to leave a little white edge because I like that. You can do whatever you like. So I'm just going to bring it straight down and start making stripes. And they're truly random. Every one of these things is going to look different. So then I'm just going to do different widths. And I'll go through and this, I mean, totally. In fact, it's kind of cool that they'll all be different. Try to stay straight up and down. If you want to put marks on your paper with pencil, you just go right ahead to do that. I'm trying to land at about the same place each time. And then let's just put a medium-sized one over here, a little bit thicker. Okay, you just did that. If you want to catch up some of that excess, go right ahead. Okay, so that's our burnt sienna. I'm going to come over and clean my brush. And then I'm going to come over. It's good to make these puddles before you start, then you don't have to stop. And then, yes, that's a beautiful green. Isn't that pretty? That's just pure Hooker's Green. I'm not mixing anything. And then I'm going to come in. I want to leave a little bit of a white line in between. And bring that green down. Oops, that's a little wobbly. Well, that's what makes it artistic, remember? So I'm going to be using 4 colors in this. And you can either, pick 4 colors that go with your dishes, or you could make them autumnal. You could also do this in shades of like a couple of greens and a nice red. If you want to do this for Christmas, you could match this to anything that you're doing, as far as, if you're doing a baby shower, you could do it in cute colors, whatever is matching your motif. Okay, now I've got a warm red. I have this, I need a little more paint in there. A little more. Where's my practice sheet? Keep going. I seem to be all thumbs this morning. And then that red, that needs a little more intensity. But I'm going straight out of off the palette in this. Okay, that's really pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to come in. I'm going to do a really thin line here. And didn't leave a lot of room for this, but again, it's random. If I did 12 of these for my 12 guests, which I'm not having, Depends on how many people you have. It's just kind of a nice gesture. And then I'm going to put another thin red. And then I'm going to do a fatter red here. It's kind of a casual look. It's really pretty. Okay. Clean it up, dab it on my paper towel, and I'm going to gather a little bit of that excess. Sometimes, depending on your paints, especially less expensive paints, if you leave too much pooling on there, they get kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? They get kind of sticky. They just dry funny. Okay, and then I have this cadmium yellow. That got a little contaminated with the green, but so I'm going to add a little extra puddle over here to make it nice and clean. Oh, that's pretty. That nice golden. We're kind of going for colors in like autumn leaves. So I'm going to do another really thin line here. Thin line here. Let's leave that alone. A thin line in here. And then a fatter one over. Now let's do a thin line there. Make it about the same border as the other side. Okay, so that we're going to let dry. And then we're going to come into our other one. So this is going to be dry. Put that over there. And seriously, you got a table, you know, in case you happen to be like the King of England and you have like, you know, 40 people for an event, you could knock these out. I'm sure the King of England is doing that right now. Or maybe he has Camilla do it. I don't know. Whoever's the artistic part of the bunch. Okay, so I'm going to mix up now. I'm going to eliminate the green from this one because this is going to be a bit of a blender and the green could make mud. So I'm just going to use the yellow, the warm red, and then I'm going to use that burnt sienna over here in my other palette and just make a nice pile of these three colors. And since that's on my brush, I'm just going to come in. Again, you could go over the edge or you could leave a border. I'm going to leave just a tiny border. And this is the Blob tie-dye technique. So I'm just going to sort of randomly place these colors in, keeping track of sort of where the edge is, but not in any mathematical sort of way. And just put a blob there. These you could do with, okay, your less talented friends. And you'd all feel successful. Okay, so let's get some red in there. And when this dries, it's just going to be really pretty. We already know these colors look nice together. You kind of have to keep moving on this, but I'll tell you, this is really effective. So we'll put a blob of that red in there. And clean off that brush. Get as much of that red as possible off. And then come into this nice golden yellow. And moving fast, especially on less expensive paper, will serve you well. You can kind of reactivate some of this stuff, but you don't want to go too far. Yeah, that's got a big, anyway, no one's gonna notice that. And then come in, you could do that wet on wet if you wanted to, but we're not. Okay, we're just gonna let that dry. And then we'll come back and I'll show you an easy way to put the names on. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, we are done with our paints. So I set those aside. And I now have my ruler, a pencil, and a marker. So I'm going to gently, now this can be very satisfying or very frustrating. So gently pull up your washi tape. Gently, gently. There we go. There we go. All right. And then we have this beautiful, nice, clean line where we're going to put the name. Okay. I'm also going to use this gold pen, and I'm just going to come in between these lines where it makes sense and just draw a little kind of squiggly line. But I'm not going to do the same on each thing like this. I'm going to put dots, particularly in between these squishy ones. And maybe I'll leave that alone, and then I'm going to do a wiggle like that, wiggle like that, do some dots. You can decorate these any way you like in there. I'm just going to do a line here, make that a line. And, you know, if you have some things that are a little bit wonky, this is where you can save them. Dots. And let's do 2 lines here. Okay, so you can see how cute that is. Can you see that? All right. Now, I'm going to show you a very easy-ish way to center your lettering on here. This is a method that I've used over the years to make sure that names land in the middle. It isn't always easy. But now, if you have a light table or a little light box, this makes it way easier, that you would write your names on a separate piece of paper the way you like them, and then you would just put this on the light box, put this on top, and you could trace them on there. If you don't have a light box, here's my very unscientific way of doing this. So I have this name, Amanda. With my little ruler, it is 1 5/8 inches from one end to the other. And so half and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 16. So find the middle point of your name. Find the middle point of your design, which is it's a little more than 3, but we'll eyeball it. So that's, oh no, I'm sorry. That's 3.5. By the way, these pieces of paper are 6 inches by 3.5. Okay. So 1.5 1/4 is my center point here. And now all I'm going to do is eyeball this. So that's where I match up those center points, and then I know that the A and the M and the A land there. Amanda. And that's basically centered on this card. That's the easiest way to do that. Okay, so I am going to use this Pigma sketch brush, which is made by the same people that make the microns that I like. And so it would be in the same neck of the woods. They're both made by Sakura. Okay, so I'm going to use the sketch brush. You can use any brush you like. You could use the gold marker, which would be really pretty. And I'm just going to go in and write her name. In this space. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. And then just to make it even cuter, I'm just going to add little gold hearts right here. Now, with this gold marker, you want to wait a bit for that to dry before I erase those words and start folding. So anyway, there's that one. So cute. Okay, our other one is nicely dry. And pull that gently off. Again, very satisfying. And we just ended up with a really pretty little watercolory, washy background. We are going to zhuzh that up. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And again, it's 3.5. So it's 1 1.5 1/4. There's my center point. And let's do this again. Do a different name. These little see-through rulers are like the best. So I know I have a 1/2 inch space there, so I'll leave that 1/2 inch. And let's see, whose name should we put in here? How about my given name? Let's put Veronica, because that will be a long name. And you can, if you're not comfortable with your writing, this is where you can practice on another piece of paper. You're not committing immediately to this. Okay, so we'll do that same. We'll find out the middle of the name Veronica. And that is just a little bit less than 2 inches. So there's my center point. There, we're going to get rid of this so I can see it better. Sorry, Amanda. Bye. And I'm just going to eyeball that in there. I mean, you could go backwards. I could go O-R-E-V-N-I-C-A. And you could mark that, maybe it's about 1/8 of an inch on either side. But you know me. I'm not measuring. Okay, so then we're going to do Veronica. Everybody's going to love these, you guys. They're going to think you're amazing. And on this one, I'm going to go in with the gold marker and make some dots, like random gold dots. And it will be really, really cute. Sort of big ones, little ones. This ended up looking a little bit like a geode, which is kind of cool. I'm putting little hearts. And yeah, I mean, you could do this with all kinds of colors. You just want to make sure when you're doing sort of this kind of tie-dye technique that your colors blend nicely to each other, that you're not going to end up with mud. You'll find that out soon enough. But practice on other paper, and then commit. And your people are going to think this is awesome because it's awesome. Okay, so now we're going to go back because Amanda over here is dry. When you erase on watercolor paper, use a gentle hand. I either use this kneaded eraser or one of these white plastic ones. Avoid using the red or the pink pearl ones. They just wreck your watercolor paper, so don't use those. And I'm just going to go in and lightly get rid of my pencil marks. And that's so cute. You can get rid of this fold line mark. In fact, I will. And then fold. Now, you'll know that paper has like 2 grains. And sometimes when you fold against the grain, you'll get that kind of cracking. So you could practice, if you cared, to see which way your paper folds, because one way is going to bend and fold nicely. The other way is going to give you that cracking. On a place card for a one-day event, we're not worried too much about that. So what I'm doing is I'm just folding it. Now, I do have a bone folder, but you can use a ruler or a credit card. I just happen to have this. Get a nice fold, and there you go. Now, one other thing we could do to zhuzh this up, if you have a fancier, this is the Posca marker. I'm kind of designing on the fly here. You could come in, and I'm going to use a piece of paper underneath here and go in and just make a nice gold edge. Yeah, that's enough. Don't over gold it. Okay, so there's that one is finished, and I think that is so cute. Okay, then we have Veronica over here, and we'll just erase her. Uh-oh. All right, don't do that. I just I just smeared the gold. So I guess I could say, wait a minute on that. Or put those on after you, put them on after you erase. There, that's my advice for that. And then I'm gonna fold this one again. This one is the opposite fold, so it's kind of fold and funky, but see how it's cracking a little bit? We'll make it work. I'm using my bone folder. You can also use like a credit card or a clean ruler. And there's that one. We'll ignore that. But I think even if you put these on the same table, they would be so cute. People are going to love these. So that is your super easy last minute, oh my gosh, I want to add one more thing to my table project. And I hope you enjoyed it. So enjoy, and happy Thanksgiving, and happy celebrating all of life's wonderful gifts. And I'm so glad you're here. I am super grateful for you, seriously. And thanks for being here and being brave. Creativity takes courage. All right, take care. Bye.